Ricki Burke, CyberSec People, visiting Kuala Lumpur from the Gold Coast. Welcome to Cybersecurity Asia.
Thank you.
Ricki, you just gave a presentation on recruitment.
Yep.
You're well known within the Australian community as a recruiter, and some of the key messages that you actually do have resonated with the audience. You could tell straight away. But I like the way you brought in a Malaysian context to today. What were some of your initial observations from an Australian context in coming up and seeing the Malaysian community?
We're all in the same position.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in Malaysia, Australia, the US, it's the same challenges. I think different countries will be at different stages in terms of maturity journey, but no one's saying it's easy out there.
Was that a surprise to you, do you think? Do you talk to other recruiters in the region?
No.
Or you obviously have an awareness across Asia Pacific?
I had a feeling, because I didn't think it'd be easier here, because it's not like it's a magic solution over here.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise they had their own unique challenges as well compared to Australia, which I found really interesting.
And what's your key sort of message? I like the way you sort of say, start with the job advert and understand what the needs are. I like those other ones, the other observations you've got where they tend to put more skill sets in the job ad, thinking that it'll attract more people rather than focusing on the core skills.
Yeah.
Is that something you find is a constant battle? And I know anyone who follows you on LinkedIn sees those observations a common factor too. What's some of the rewrites you would like to see within a cybersecurity context for job ads?
Yeah, I think keep it simple. Think about what there's needs versus wants.
Yeah.
What do you need today to get the job done, as opposed to what you may want to hire in the future? Because skills can be trained, but if you keep it down to a fundamental 2, 3, or whatever number of skill sets you actually need to deliver this piece of work, attitude goes so far. And I think if you hire the right people, then you can train the rest. And a lot of companies will talk about attitude, but I don't think enough really follow through with that. And I think we just need to keep it simple.
That's your essential versus your desirables.
Yeah.
What about the interview process is another aspect that you feel that needs to be reinvented, so to speak. And I have seen 7 or 8 interview processes, and I, as a relatively small business owner, I just think, crikey, how much time does that waste?
Yeah.
You think they could be potentially losing good people if it's that long?
100%. The thing is, hiring's hard. It doesn't matter if you're Google or you're a startup. Hiring is hard. Every organisation has their own challenges, and there'll be pros and cons from an applicant's perspective of why they would like to work for this company versus that company. But if we think about it, the longer your interview process is, the more opportunity there is for other organisations to come and take the staff that you're looking to hire. But also your interview process, I think, gives really good insight in terms of your company culture. And essentially, if you don't handle the process well, the communication isn't very good, and people don't turn up for Zoom meetings or video meetings or the interview, or people are late, you're really setting a bad tone. And I think those things play a big part in people's decision making.
Well, why do they fall into that, I don't know, what I would call a trap maybe, of having 7 or 8 interviews? What are they trying to achieve in that process?
Well, companies want to copy Google and the likes of.
Right.
The thing is, not everybody is that company. Like, if you're a small startup or you're a medium-sized business, you can't expect people to jump through the same hoops as a big FANG-type company can, because ultimately there's the prestige that a lot of people want to work for Amazon or a Google or someone. And even those organisations have, through time, iterated their interview process. They're always changing and reviewing things, whereas you can't expect someone to jump through the same hoops.
Yeah.
So I think people need to be realistic that in terms of what you have to offer. Again, you've got pros versus a bigger company, but you need to then show how you can be quick in your decision making, that you can demonstrate we can get stuff done, and that's a benefit of joining us versus a company that does take a long time.
The other one is cybersecurity versus other technology jobs. Is there a difference? And not so much what are the differences, but then what would be some sort of benchmarks that you would look at?
I'm not a good person to ask.
Fair enough. So you just focus on cybersecurity,
I live in my cybersecurity bubble. I can say from my days, so I've been exclusively in cyber for 7-8 years now, and we do sort of cross over into sort of software engineering and sort of other types of IT roles, just purely because our customer wants to work with us and have the same service. and their process is no different. And I'd imagine it's the same for other organisations, whether they're hiring a cyber or IT or whatever. They have their standard process and they just adapt it area by area.
Well, maybe in that context, differences within the cybersecurity roles as well, whether it's a CISO, architect,
that would change.
An analyst, that kind of role.
There'll be obviously different things that organisations are looking for, and maybe more vetting. The more the more they're going to spend on someone, the more influential and more impact that person has in an organisation. They need to really verify, feel super comfortable. But again, that doesn't. You can do 3 or 4 rounds, 5 rounds in a week. It doesn't have to take 4 weeks. But again, every organisation has a different way of doing things.
And the other last one would be neurodiversity and diversity. I think there's resonation from the audience perspective on neurodiversity. And cyber is one of those, particularly with those analytical mindsets that will benefit. General observations on neurodiversity and the opportunities that people on the spectrum might have within the industry?
Well, that room, 200 people.
Yeah.
One in 5, according to stats, considered neurodiverse.
Somewhere on the spectrum.
So
right?
there's potentially 40 people there in that room. So there's an opportunity there for everybody. I think for me, the onus is on the organisations to do more work and more communication around one understanding of how do we create positive environments that people feel comfortable to work in, that feel safe and supportive. It's not on the individuals to say, hey, I'm neurodiverse or I'm ADHD or whatever people may want to say. Ultimately, I think if we create a place where people don't want to work, people then feel comfortable, because it can be a selling point, and it sounds terrible to say this, but ultimately you could be an organisation that people want to work for because they feel that company gets me. They have a culture that I can be inclusive and a part of, and that in itself is a whole opportunity to tap into.
I think it comes to your initial core message is focus on the skills you need, and then work around that, and I think culture is another key aspect.
Massive.
Ricki Burke, great to have you here in Kuala Lumpur. Well done on today.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your time in Malaysia.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks, Ricki.
Cheers.